Hi, I'm Tanisha, an associate consultant here at HRBx. Today's video will be the first part in a multi-part series where we take you through how to create the perfect resume. In today's video, we're going to be going over a few common mistakes that you should be avoiding while creating a resume. Keep in mind that resumes and what is expected from them is going to change according to industry and the kind of role that you're applying to. But in this video, we're going to be covering a few common mistakes and things that you should be avoiding when you're creating a resume. Before we start off, I'd like for us to think about what exactly is a resume. I know this may seem like a bit of a no-brainer, especially if you're experienced, but just take a moment to think about what exactly is the aim of a resume and who's going to be reading it. A resume is like a professional summary. It's you telling a hiring manager or a recruiter why exactly you'd be perfect for a role. So you take all of your professional achievements and your academic achievements and put them in a singular document to outline why exactly you feel that you would be a good fit for a particular role. Now that that's established, take a look at this sample resume. I want you to take a moment to go over the resume and see what strikes you at first. Look at what you're reading on the document, how you feel while you're reading it, and what kind of impression it gives you on this particular hypothetical candidate. Now I'll take you through a few things that our team felt stood out to them while they were reviewing this resume. The first thing that stands out to us are the amount of colors that are being used on the page. While we can appreciate that John was trying to be creative and have his resume stand out by using a number of colors in his document, the issue with that is that the amount of colors and just having them in blocks like that can make the document look a little busy. So it takes your focus away from the actual content of the resume, which is the highlight of your resume, right? The next thing that stood out to us were the fonts and alignment that John had chosen. So while these could make sense from an aesthetic standpoint, it doesn't really lend itself to readability, which is why we suggest sticking to one professional font. So this could be a font like Helvetica, Georgia, Calibri, or Times New Roman. These are all classic fonts that were created with readability in mind. Apart from this, we also suggest having your document left aligned just to make sure that it's a little easier on the eyes and easier to read. This next point might feel a little basic, but it's important nonetheless. Make sure your document doesn't have any spelling or grammatical errors. We suggest proofreading your document multiple times and also running it through a spell check. Another thing you can do is read the sentences that you've written out loud to see if you can catch any issues with the actual syntax. In the heat of the moment when you're typing something out, it can feel like it makes sense, but when you read it out, it's when you understand if the sentence is natural or not. Another suggestion is running it by friends and family, because when they look at your document with fresh eyes, they're likely to find a few issues that you might have missed yourself. The next thing that you really need to avoid is having generic statements in your resume. We can tell that John has 5 years of experience as a marketing professional, and he specializes in developing and implementing strategic marketing plans. But what else does it tell us? We don't really understand anything about his impact or what he's actually done. We just have a few generic statements where he mentions development, execution, analysis, but no actual figures to go with what he's saying. Having these many generic statements in your resume doesn't really help your candidature. So it's really important to include facts and figures in your resume so that the hiring manager or the recruiter actually has some context into what you've done and how much you've actually achieved in your career. Now that we've seen a few common mistakes in a resume, let's look at how we can fix it. Take a look at this optimized version of John's resume. As you can see, with an optimized font, color scheme, and alignment, it's a lot easier to actually focus on the content of this resume. Now let's take a look at the difference in the actual content. Here, John has still mentioned that he has 5 years of experience in developing and implementing strategic marketing plans, but he's also mentioned the actual areas in marketing that he has an interest in. So we can see digital marketing, brand management, and market research. This gives the recruiter a little bit more context into who John is and what exactly he does at his current organization and the areas that he's looking to grow in. Now let's take a look at the experience part of the resume. As we can see, John has added in more specific examples of his impact. So we can see that he's resulted in a 20% increase in revenue, and he's also been able to increase engagement by 30% and the number of followers by 25%. So these are real numbers that a recruiter can use to actually understand the kind of impact that you had on your company. Apart from this, John has also given us specific examples illustrating where exactly he's used his skills in his previous organization. As you can see, he's mentioned doing market research, as well as collaboration with cross-functional teams and launching successful marketing campaigns, and going into a bit of detail into the actual kinds of campaigns that he's run. Another thing you can do in your resume is include relevant hobbies and interests. If you have hobbies or interests that are relevant to the job or the industry that you're applying for, feel free to include them in your resume. Make sure the hobbies are the kind of hobbies that would, create a positive impression of your professional career. I hope that was helpful, and good luck with creating your resume. This video was the first in a series about writing resumes, so if you'd like more insights, pay attention to this space. And if you would like any insights into talent branding, head on over to our website, talentbranding.in.